I'm Liam.
I'm Wayne,
You're listening to In Film We Trust YouTube.
a place where we post clips from our recent episode.
All links down below in the description.
And now, on with the show.
Cut to the hospital. We cut to the hospital.
I was worried for a second, first time I seen it.
Did you think it was all going to be a
Yeah,
dream?
I'm like, this is not going to be a dream, is it? I'm like, this
shit.
movie's not doing this. Because a movie can be fantastic, but if they pull that on you at the end, it just loses all value.
Because you can justify everything that happened.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, it's just a dream, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has this dream, and Asher comes in, and he's in perfect shape, like his hand's working, because she just says he had like a little accident or something, didn't she?
Yeah, we had an accident. You've been here, I think, 2 weeks, did she say?
Yeah, well, maybe 2 days.
2 days, 2
wasn't,
weeks.
Wasn't very long
And
in
then
hospital.
we go back to errands.
Back to reality.
We
yeah.
didn't last with Asher long.
No, not very long at all.
Leewano wasn't impressed with her.
I hope she was paid well, because it goes back to thing, and that's where he's completely gone. Like his facial expressions are totally neutral, and he says, it's like Gray's not here anymore.
He's in a better place.
Yeah, I had to mentally break him.
In his mind where he wants to be.
So
And he shoots Cortez.
Yeah. So in a sense, does that seem like a happy ending for Gray then? Because obviously he said his body's taken over, but
In his mind, he can be where he wants to be with Asher. Well, this film actually does clever by making STEM incorporated into Grey the whole time. It's almost like this rumination on revenge, because the whole time he's searching for an external factor of the wife of his death, but essentially it's all come down to his own mind.
Yeah.
So he's been battling himself the whole time.
Yeah, because like him and Stem are like almost like
Yeah.
the two sides of this. There's now two sides of the same
So
personality.
rather than him just seeking revenge on some external factor, what's caused him misery, he's been forced to work within his own mind.
It's like he's now taking revenge, and in a sense he can enjoy it, but in another sense he's totally lost his physical being. It's been taken over by the
So
machines.
does he get a happy ending? Because now he can be with Ash as long as he wants in his own mind.
It's kind of an ambiguous. I never even thought about it that way, but
I wonder if that's what that little virtual reality addict tie-in was, because they're living in an augmented reality because they can't cope with reality, and now he's living in an augmented reality.
no, I think it could be it. That's it. This is now his life forever, but he won't know the difference because, like I say,
Do you know
he's
what it is, Wayne? Foreshadowing.
foreshadowing. So, is that actually like with this happy ending? I didn't even consider that when I watched it, but I only just thought now when we're talking about it, oh wow, is it a happy ending or is it not? It's very ambiguous. Yeah.
Happy ending? Or do you think it's just one of those films that are throwing two answers out, and you can pick whichever one?
I think you can pick with whichever
way
one,
you would go.
whichever one you like. I think I'm leaning more towards the his life is ruined. I
Do
mean,
you choose the dystopian reality, or do you pick the utopian fantasy?
utopian fantasy, I suppose. So, well, that's the one you would want, but in the real world, of course, he's lost. But the question is, where does he go off to now?
Because with STEM completely overtaking them, and we should say the film ended there.
Yeah, that's
because
he walks out and it just like cuts to black. There.
Yeah.
It's essentially a look at kind of the relationship we have with technology, because there's people talking now about having implants into us now. Because I remember someone was saying about having a little chip implanted into you so you can have your iPod with you all the time. Or implants in your ears so you can make phone calls, which are all things we've seen in sci-fi movies but could not be far away, because this film was set 2046.
I actually think this film would have been, for my taste, everybody's tastes are different, but it would have been a lot better and more effective if they almost went like an exploitation route and made it a little dirtier and grittier looking.
Just like a bit more over the top.
Less cartoonish of it.
So your criticism, it felt too cartoonish. They tried to lean too far into the dark comedy, but went more for comedy than dark.
And with the aesthetic as well, I thought it never looked grimy enough.
No,
I never thought. Did you?
I think it was more flashy than it was grimy.
Yeah.
I still think they tried to go that way, but yeah, maybe they just didn't go far enough. Again, maybe they didn't have the budget, or the idea just wasn't formed clearly in their mind. But like I say, I liked this film. I think I maybe liked it more the first time I watched it.
Oh, because this was the first time I saw it. Do you think it decreased a bit for you the second time?
I think so, maybe because now I'm looking at a bit more into it. It's not just, oh, cool action sequences, oh, cool this, cool that. Thinking a bit more about how it was put together. But I still really enjoyed it. I would still definitely recommend it. It's not just a great action film. It's a good, like say, rumination on our relationship with technology, reliance on machines, computers, all the
it's definitely a film of ideas, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
It's a comment on all these things we've spoke about.
Yeah, it's very much like a classic, like you say, cyberpunk contemplation or examination of what the future could be like, because it's the future now, but it's going to be reality in some years, and what's it going to be like then?
When we were researching this, when I was researching this, I actually came across a guy who has an antenna implanted into his head.
Right.
It vibrates so he can read messages, texts, etc.
Huh.
There is a picture of him. He is a transhumanist activist.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not shitting on this guy, but he literally has a physical antenna, like an aerial, poking out his skull.
How high does it go?
It kind of goes half a foot up maybe, and then bends over his forehead, elevated.
Seems like more inconvenient. We just get it caught on door frames and stuff.
Is this the future, Wayne?
Oh, I have no idea. But the future's always...
Gun hands, implants, and cars you can just hack.
The guys you can hack, yeah. I think it really does sort of explain the flaws, examine the flaws in what our future could possibly be with this over-reliance on computers. But I think it does acknowledge that computers and robotics can work in some sense in harmony with humans.
Well, what they say is technology isn't sentient. You can only attach the personality of the creator who uses this stuff, isn't it? It's not the actual technology itself, it's how it's used by people.
Yeah, because the worry in a lot of like sci-fi films and cyberpunk films is it's self-awareness. Machines achieving self-awareness is usually the worry. But here I think it's more the over-dependence on these machines.